I have this theory. Time is not a dot on a line. It's not the line. It's not linear at all. It's a fractal dimension, a fractal curve. But what is a fractal, you may ask? Well, it's an irregular structure of repeating patterns of similarly irregular but progressively smaller dimensions. You can find a great example of this by doing a search for the Mandelbrot set. But mankind didn't always think of time as linear. Actually, many ancient cultures saw time as an endless circle, a repeating cycle. As a matter of fact, a repeating cycle within cycles, and so forth and so on. We can see its fractal nature in the cycles of the seasons, the revolutions of the sun, moon, and stars, even nature's food chain. In truth, life is circular. But even in the modern age, where linear time seems to rule all, we still see its nuanced cycles repeating in the years and months, days and hours, in the minutes and seconds. Repetitive cycles going smaller and smaller. But this tiresome concept of time as an unwound, never-ending, non-repeating line has always been a construct of the Western culture, and it has left us in want ever since for rest and truly arriving at a conclusion. It keeps us forever frustrated, always having more to do. What's more, linear time makes it impossible to live in the expanded reality of a multidimensional existence. You are a body, soul, and spirit, are you not? And linear time cannot expand to incorporate the truth that the kingdom of God is coming and the kingdom of God is now, simultaneously. And it does not successfully allow reconciliatory contentment between becoming who you're created to be and being what you're created to be. Instead, it holds it in paradox. So why did the perspective of time change from circular to linear? I believe it's because of the changes in language over the history of mankind. You see, a language is always closely connected to the culture of the people using that language. This is not only true for different languages, but also for different cultures using the same language. And we can never assume people from one culture will always understand people from another culture in the same way. Change the language and you change the culture, and vice versa. For example, the Hopi of North America did not have the same perspective of time. For them, there is what is and what is not yet. If you look at their language, you will find that they do not use past, present, and future tenses. There are just two tenses that exist. One for the manifested, a complete action, and another for the unmanifested, an incomplete action. For the person speaking the Hopi language, time was communicated quite differently than the Western-speaking person. But what happens when you require the Hopi-speaking individual to adopt a Western language? Like, for example, in the 1800s, when the United States government forced the Native Americans to adopt the English language. What happens, as it did for the Hopi, is that the original cultural perspectives are lost and replaced with modern Western perspectives. In this case, the idea of time being circular or cyclical was replaced with a linear construct, or timeline. In truth, Western culture disconnected itself from ancient understandings of time by forcing a change of language, and the circular idea and frameworks were lost to generations and generations of people, forcing them to live on a timeline because their language trapped them there. What's more, the way back is shut. Why? Well, how can you depart from a construct of thoughts and ideas where there is no language to support the exit? Or how can you decode a cipher when the key is missing a number? No matter how hard your efforts may be, you will never arrive at your desired end. By the way, this is one of the reasons I no longer spend much time in Western translations of the Bible. Instead, I prefer to go into the Greek and even really into the Hebrew when doing deep dive research. I find it much more informative and much more connected to the ancient understandings of that language in the cultures they were spoken. So, to put it another way, how can you be the whole you if the concept of a circle is absent in your thought paradigm? Time is not linear, it's circular, it's fractal. But as long as we continue to use a linear language to constrain our thoughts to this narrow perspective of time, we will never really be able to understand the beauty of circular time and its fractal nature, let alone experience the freedom of the living moment, or what I call the now. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen to this podcast. I really appreciate it. And I hope I inspired you to think differently about time, and to consider changing how you govern it, and taking back the sovereignty of time over your life, and leveraging it to benefit and bless your day. If you're listening for the first time and want to continue following this podcast, head over to Substack, search for Sigaloo Studios, and click the subscribe button. If you want to learn more about Sigaloo Studios, check out my website at sigaloostudios.com. You can find me on Telegram, X, Discord, and YouTube. Until next time, continue to discover the you he designed you to be.